Hello, hello. If anybody was live with me just from 7:30 until now, I'm sorry. We had a slight emergency here. We moved and I do feel like my life has been turned upside down until we really like know what we're doing here and have everything organized. Like the bus didn't come this week for my kids. And we kept calling and it was like 3 days in a row. And then we missed the bus because we're not used to this schedule. And the water was just turned on and it wouldn't stop and like it's just like life right in a new place, which is so funny because I'm in real estate and so like I don't feel like I've really fully understood like the moving process for most people until I did this because I've been in the same home for a long time, and with four of us like moving us to this has been chaos. Okay, today I'm gonna redo this just in case, because I think I don't want you guys to be like, "What the heck?" She was in the middle of this. Although I'm gonna blow through it now. I talked about a lot of things in the last one. We will figure out if that makes sense to show to people or not. We'll see. Hi, I'm Lindsay, and I never received a raise except for once in any of the companies that I was in. Now, every time I went to leave, because I was like, okay, well, I've been here for 3 or 4 years or whatever. Like, what are we doing here? Now, I was also on comp structures where like the more I sold or the more I did, the more I made. So like, great. But when I went to leave these places, they always offered me more money. So like the first time I went to leave an insurance job, they offered me $20,000 more. I was already gonna be getting something like that, so I left, and then the second job that I had, which I was there for a while, I guess I did get annual raises there, but it was a nonprofit, so it was a little bit weird. That me Lindsay in the nonprofit world was not smart, and so I love that, I like to make money. And then in the 3rd position with real estate, I, didn't get anything for 4 years. I didn't ask for it. I just felt like my work should show that we should get that. And then when I went to leave, they offered me $50,000 to stay. So when I left, I didn't have another job. I was going to go out on my own. So, all right. So because of that, I'm somebody who preemptively gives raises. That means I have a trigger. I'm going to call them triggers for raises. And so let's talk about them. One, hitting and exceeding the KPIs consistently. If you have scorecards, like those people are hitting their numbers. Okay. Two, taking ownership of new systems or people. Yes. If you're owning things and people and like you're not causing drama, I'm all about you. Solving problems without escalation. This is my biggest one. I have come to realize too when if there's an escalation and you're somebody who's taking it, but then it still bounces to me, you didn't handle the escalation, right? So if you're somebody who can take care of that and I don't even have to jump in and like I'm never having to deal with those conversations, like you're gold in my world. That is my biggest trigger. Doesn't mean it needs to be your biggest trigger. It is my biggest trigger. And then the one right underneath that, you guys, is becoming a force multiplier, or getting reviews and referrals. So you do a good job with somebody and they send somebody to you, duh, duh. So, I mean, again, I'm not having to jump in on escalations all the time and handle your crap, or it's very seldom because you're handling things. And people are sending other people our way because you're awesome. Literally, I don't know what's better. So you're worth money in my world, and those are triggers for me to give you a raise. Fun fact, I've never been asked for a raise. I have had people leave me for more money. Now, I've had people try to leave for more money once in real estate. And it was like, "Do you want me to keep you or do you wanna go? Like, you tell me." And then it was like, "I want you to keep me." And it was like, "Oh, got it." So we kept her. But yeah, those are triggers. So, like, I understand that's where I'm at for that. We have a whole thing that we're doing right now, we call it OGG, like OPP. And own it, guard it, grow it. Own your role, guard the stinking role, and grow it. Period. Make more money together. Yay. All right. Review structure. Now I have a 30-day, 60-day, 90-day, and an annual comp review. That's it. We're going to talk in those reviews. By the way, we can give you those performance evaluations if you want them about results. So they're numbers. We're going to talk about behavior. Those are your values. So we're heart, humble, teamwork, and stewardship, and Soprani Consulting. And then we have our fundamentals in the Soprani Sweeney team, which so awesome. Someday I'll go over that. Actually, I'll just have Deneen come on and talk about it because she's amazing. And then role evolution. So, are you doing more than you were hired for? Again, are you making everybody's life better? Are you making my life better? Like, if you are, and you're making everything better, why would I ever want to not be in business with you? Create clear levels. So here's the funny thing. I have levels. And in my performance evaluation, you see 1 through 5. 5 means like you are the best thing sliced bread since sliced bread. You are on track for management, right? Like we need to be talking about that. So level 1, you are task based. You need direction. Like if I'm having to wake up every day and wonder what you're doing for the day and tell you what to do for the day, you're not in my world for very long. Level 2 owns their role and they're reliable. So if you're waking up every day and you're owning your role and you're reliable and you're coming in regularly, you're at a level 2, right? Um, However, I need to see you start like caring about the role and wanting to do better. And that's where, some of those triggers I talked about, those start to come in, right? The escalations aren't there, the referrals are there, and so on. Which means you get to 3 and you're improving systems, you're anticipating problems. Again, like that's when all of those things start to glue. So at 3, you're like, you're owning it, you're in it, you're handling your escalations. Like there aren't very many problems coming our way. If there is a problem, you're trying to own it with them and so on. Or you're raising your hand if like there's a problem, right? And we know before so we could anticipate as opposed to being, it would be proactive instead of reactive. There. Level 4, you're leading others, you're multiplying your output. So in other words, you're leading your team, you're leading your admin, you're directing traffic, you're directing the way, and people are leading you. And by the way, that could be leading in a good way or a bad way too, right? The hope and the goal is to be leading in a good way. Um, and so we should kind of define each level and define how much you're going to make in those levels, in my opinion, right? Um, and the types of raises and all those things. So here's the deal. When you take management courses, when you learn about these things, they talk to you about bonus structures and salary increases and profit share, commission. You've got one-time rewards versus permanent increases, right? And those are all things, right? So those are like 4 different things that you could use for people. So I'm gonna talk about like the normal one and like the one that you would even see online, like that people like discuss all the time. So like pay increase framework, right? Standard performance. So I was talking about the levels, I'm talking about the triggers, like hopefully that all makes sense with you. Standard performance is like 1 to 3%. Like, but imagine getting a raise for 1 to 3%. It's not very much. But that is like a normal thing in lots of business guys. So like if you're only seeing that, like, and you're a candidate or something or a manager, like that, that's standard performance. 4 to 5% consistent performance. You're reliable, right? You're not like somebody who's using all your PTO all the time, right? That's 4 to 5% there in a raise. 5 to 10% is excellent, high performance, responsibility there. Those escalations are handling. That's up there. And then when you're getting to the 10 to 20%, that's like a level 4, right? I talked about my levels. You've got promotion, management, like your skills and just who you are is like exceptional. You should be starting to lead other people. That's how we base everything, right? And you should kind of have a philosophy around this, and I actually think people should know about it. My teams do not, I because, again, I was just somebody who always made sure I took care of people and that they would be taken care of. It's also like it always has boggled my mind why people leave us though too, because I'm always like, man, we regularly increase you and we're regularly talking about your performance and how to get better and what the next steps are every year. I don't know very many businesses that actually do that. Like, they may lay out a path in the beginning and sell you on a roll, but then, like, actual regular, performance reviews and, like, the ability to make more and talking to you every single week or biweekly in a 411 about what you're trying to accomplish, your monthly goals, and then your annual, like, I mean, I'm in a lot of businesses. I've seen a lot of businesses. I do not see people do that the way that we do. Now there's massive accountability in that, so if you don't like that, you're not gonna stay in my world very long. Um, but, like, it is kind of a funny thing. People do leave even good culture or good whatever, you've tried to build for these things, because they're always gonna take care of themselves, and instead of having a hard conversation or, they always think the grass is greener, right? And listen, we've had lots of people come back and go, like, "I wanna be back in your world. How do we do that?" And we've considered a lot of those things. Um, there's also only a handful of people I would ever take back. Again, they would have had to, like, really make my world better, and that could be culturally, but it also has to be other, like, it's a funny thing, but, like, if I look at our consultants, for example, like, barely ever do we have to get involved with anything with them because they are business consultants, they own the role, they own the conversations with people, like, they're brilliant, right? And it doesn't mean, I mean, I have that in all positions in my business, just so we are on the same page, because otherwise, as you're seeing, they wouldn't be in business with me for very long. Um, or we'd be having different conversations. And by the way, different businesses have different, like, ramping up for positions. Like, training sometimes can be 3 months and then you're like hitting your stride, or it could be 6 months or a year before you really owning things. Like, if you look at the recruiting department on my business, like, I've had tons of coaches and people that have said, like, hey, this should be, like, people should be getting up and running faster. And I'm like, until you've done what we've done, like, you don't ever get to say that to me. Now I'm actually able to say that and verbalize that. For before, I'd be like, "You're right. I probably have a limiting belief around that." It's BS. I know what I'm doing, like, at this point in my world and in my life, like, it takes time to become a good recruiter. It Recruiting is the most important thing in every business that gets built out there. The people you're bringing in, the most important thing and the hardest thing to do. And here we think that somebody's going to come into a recruiting role and own it in like 3 months and get it. That is such BS. I don't even, whatever. Anyways, I'm just telling you, hardest thing, those people, they're also worth gold. So if you find good ones, right? And then you have to train those people up. And like, there's an element of like, oh, I'm not good at this when you've got things happening in that. It's really hard. So, like, again, if you have a business where like there's some of that stuff, like, it's not easy. Anybody who goes into the management role in any business, all of a sudden you're dealing with people and their emotion, right? Very, very hard too. So that takes time. It takes time to figure out what kind of manager you are, who you're gonna be, who are you learning from? Like, are you the boss? Are you different? Like, do you need to be different and play good cop, bad cop? All those things. So again, like, I'm giving you some framework around some of these things and like the reasons behind things, and hopefully it makes sense if I'm using some of my own examples here. And like, you have to think about your business. Like I said, like, if I look at my consultants and who they are, they've been doing things and running businesses for years, and now they're consulting others, right? They earn the right to that. And my recruiters, they have to get up and running, and it takes time and it's hard, and it just it's time over task there, right? And again, like, I can't rate somebody who's new the way I can rate somebody who's been doing it for 4 years. It's just not possible. But the person who's been doing it for 4 years is, should be in promotion management's place at this point because they've owned the role for a long time. And I'm not getting those conversations, the escalations, and I'm getting, referrals because of them and that kind of stuff, right? Hopefully this is all making sense. I will put something together for this because I think it's important. Um, okay, so you should have a philosophy. You should be telling people about it. If you don't, it bites you in the butt. I talked to you about me. We'll probably roll this out, now that I've had to put the framework together. Um, and then, I kind of wish that companies had done this for me. Like, I wish I had understood some of this and that they adhered to this. Now, here's the tricky part. If the company's not making money, then we have to have honest, real conversations around, like, oh, like, here's where we are. There is no more money. Small businesses have budgets, big businesses have budgets. It's not like everybody can just be like, "Yeah, let's just keep growing." And by the way, like, if you're in that position, if you're not growing and going to the next level, right, in performance, and then helping us grow other people under you so that you can pop out and become a manager, then, then there's like there's weird things. Now, again, there's different places, like, you could go into real estate and be a real estate agent for and love what you do for years. You don't need to grow into anything, right? You could be a recruiter and love what you do for years, business consultant. Like, there are positions that, like, there's, the growth path looks different, right? It's more like, okay, now how do we help you make more money with other people underneath you? Or, like, in a realtor situation, you might have like an agent that, like, grows and gets their own assistant, or agent that grows and gets like a showing assistant or partner, that kind of stuff. So at any rate, you really need to be able to talk through, like, what does growth look like, and it doesn't always look the same. Like, again, real estate agents, I'm not paying you. Like, I mean, I can change splits and things as you get better and bigger. And again, you have to be bringing something with me. Why would I give you a bigger and better split if you're causing drama, or I'm having to jump in on your deals all the time, or, like, you're not showing up and doing the things that I set out and said we've mutually agreed upon? Like, it's a give and take, right? Um, that's what a 1099 would look like for me too. And there's a whole separate thing for 1099. So we'll go over that. For me, that's a joint commitment and hey, I agreed to do these things for you as the business owner, and you've agreed to do these things for me as a 1099, and we've agreed that this is what the relationship looks like. And if there's anything off, then we have resentment and we need to talk about those things. All right. Woo, getting some allergies here. These are all things that you have to do before you grow, I think, and you have to have some transparent conversations around them. I don't think they're easy, but I do think that they're necessary. And if you're somebody that doesn't have a simple formula behind you, or you're not, like, figuring those things out, right? Um, Here's the deal. Meets expectations, I'm going to simplify. Meets expectations, 2 to 4% increase. Exceeds expectations, 5 to 10. Role expansion and promotion, 10 to 20%. Right? So, hey, you're becoming a manager, 10 to 20% more. Good? Let me know.